Okay, so, I watched Cuties, so let's talk about it. But real quick before that, here's some unedited live footage, okay? I had the camera running for the entire duration of the film. Here's some actual footage of how I was reacting while I was watching it. No, fuck you. No, I can't do it. No. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. That one's kinda hot. Okay, so that last part was fake, but the other reactions were entirely real. Never have I watched a movie that elicited such visceral reactions from me. And, like, I've watched a lot of really good movies that have, like, drawn, like, strong emotion for me, and I have watched a lot of really bad movies that have drawn strong emotion for me. That movie literally made me manifest some sort of nervous tic I didn't even know I had. What the hell is this thing? I was like, what was that? The movie is bad. And it's not bad in the same way that a lot of the other movies I talk about on this channel are bad. The movie is gross. What it is a film that is trying to condemn the sexual exploitation of children without ever condemning the sexual exploitation of children. It just sexually exploits children for an hour and 37 minutes. It's gross. And what's most mind-boggling to me is that I've read some of the movie reviews on this film, right? I've seen what the critics have to say. It has an 86% on Rotten Tomatoes. And the only way I can fathom that happening is if A, we assume that Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself, and B, that he's actually Dr. Eggman, and C, he did this with Rotten Tomatoes.
You fool! I have 70 alternative accounts!
There's no other way. It has to be the ghost of Jeffrey Epstein and his 70 alternative accounts. There's no other way. I refuse to believe any other explanation that could warrant why this movie has such positive reviews. Because it's gross. So, when all the buzz about this movie started cropping up about a month and a half ago, you know, me and my timely upload schedule got right on top of it. But when it all started cropping up about a month and a half ago, most of the anger was directed towards the movie poster, right? Which showed a bunch of 11-year-old girls scantily clad. My brain froze and I was trying to say clantily scad. But it showed a bunch of 11-year-old girls in heavy makeup, scantily clad, striking all these sexual poses, right? You know, everyone was attacking the Netflix marketing team for, you know, this gross exploitation of child actors. And then people started to actually watch the movie and they were like, oh! The marketing team really done goofed up. But the director goofed up to the 10th degree. Okay, now let's talk about the camera work that this film had to offer. You know in GTA how when you pull out your gun, it immediately points you towards a person, right? You got that fat aim assist going on. I'm pretty sure that the camera in this movie had aim assist installed. And it was programmed so that it immediately targeted the camera whoop, to child ass. every single time. It was horrendous. I am convinced that whoever was operating this camera had to have been a literal midget. Is midget a derogatory term? A literal dwarf. Is dwarf a... No, dwarf's fine, right? It had to have been a very short person, because these are 11-year-old children, and the camera was consistently focused on the bottom half of their body. And what's maybe the most upsetting is that the director of this movie clearly had a talent for directing, right? Because the way things were filmed and the way shots were constructed was actually done pretty well. It's just such a shame that the director used their talent for directing to focus the viewer's attention on literal child ass. What's even more befuddling to me is that people are actively supporting this movie. Like, I watched this commentator a while ago. Here's a clip from his video.
This film does try to make you sexually aroused by 11-year-olds. And I'll say it's not bad at it. It's not a total failure in that regard, at least for me. Your mileage may vary.
And I remember watching that video thinking to myself, there's no way that this man has a stable mental health. He has to be a full-blown pedophile. And then, lo and behold, he uploaded this video.
My ex-wife used to call me the monster from it. She said, whatever people are most afraid of, their deepest, darkest fear, that's you. And I said, yeah, like they project their fears onto me. And she said, no, Max, you figure out their worst fear and you actually transform into it right in front of their eyes.
I'll give you one guess. Alright, I'll give you one guess as to what that monster he's been fighting is. And this dude, by the way, by no stretch was the only guy, alright, who was, arguing in support of this movie, okay? There were plenty of people on Twitter raising their fists covered in incel goop, screaming at the top of their lungs, "There's nothing wrong with this movie! Let me watch softcore child porn!" And a lot of the arguments on Twitter, like the only argument I saw on Twitter, like the only talking point that these people had was centered on anime, which if you're debating somebody and they're centering their argument around anime, they're probably wrong. But their argument was that, well, why is it that the sexual exploitation of children in anime is okay? They give all these cartoon sprites, they make them look like 11-year-old girls. Well, see, there's two fundamental differences there. First, in anime, a girl can look like 11, but actually be 200 million years old. And second, a girl in anime is a girl in anime. She isn't real. The girls in this movie were real 11-year-old children who were twerking for a camera to then be broadcasted onto Netflix. There was a scene where this girl she's in like a very thin tank top in her underwear, and she's getting spritzed with like holy water to get the twerking demons exorcised out of her or some shit. And Netflix watched that movie and said, yeah, I think that'll appeal to our viewer base. Like, this movie is just so ridiculously disgusting. Like, as far as the plot goes, it's a girl from a conservative Muslim family who's not allowed to express herself or whatever, and then she decides to join a competitive child twerking team. I feel like if you're gonna be that lazy with the script, you might as well just cut out the middleman and say, hey, we're doing softcore child porn. There's no reason to try and disguise it as a movie. I hated this movie. I feel disgusting for having watched it. I am in pain. Yuck. I've just been blabbering for about like 20 minutes at this point in time, just saying whatever's coming into my head, and I'm hoping that any of it makes sense or any of it's remotely funny. That'd be super cool if that happened. I highly doubt it though, because I am about as funny as a literal brick. But I'm planning on doing a lot of videos like this in the future, and I'm not going to abide to the every 2 weeks. And I'm not going to abide to the every other week for this kind of content because it takes significantly less time to do. And so I'm going to start a new series. Alright, it's going to be called Let's Talk About It. And just pretty much whatever the internet's going wild about at that point in time, I'm going to hop onto it. So instead of waiting like a month and a half to talk about it like I did with Cuties, like as soon as I see something or I notice something or something's happening, I will set up my camera and start talking about it. And those videos will come out, you know, pretty much whenever shit's going on that I want to talk about. And it's not inherently movie-based. Alright, this one is movie-based, but it's more, you know, just whatever the internet's losing its goddamn mind about. Its goddamn collective hive mind. Oh, shit, I didn't do an intro for this video. What is up, frickers and frickettes, and welcome back to the Arctic. Okay, goodbye now.